really believe in their DPS, but we'll see what they do.
We'll see if Naori is right. Thank you for joining us. She'll be back after the map, see if her prediction was correct, and I'll get to roast her if it's not. But thankfully, I put all of that pressure on her shoulders. Out the gates, you can already see a Pharah and a Widow and a Hammond. That's some DPS, and the drum roll to find out which team it is as the overlay will pop up in a second. And on a map like Downtown, I'm surely excited to see which Widow's going to stand out here.
So High-B coming out now, and they're not actually playing Micha at all. They want that Widowmaker play coming through, and Milan Ron going to be reprising his Pharah that we saw from last week. And now going in a head-to-head here, you can see the mirror comps, LGD versus T1W.GZA. This could very well basically show us exactly what we have in store for us. And again, if LGD comes on top, that's a worry for T1W. If they're able to hold on to that DPS, they should do well here.
The Sombra do already won. Hoya-chan could go for the Resurrect, but he's sticking by his Pharah side as both teams working for that point control. Now it's unlocked, but a few too many rockets. Lemon, hey, that's me. Melon, that's gonna be fun, tricky. But he drops first for LGD Gaming along with the Pharmacy, so T1W will get that first cap, and it'll be up to LGD now to play on the attack and work on this high ground.
So T1W getting that early control, and what they need to do now is start cementing those picks, making sure that they can hold on to this control that they have now. LGD Gaming, on the other hand, you know, we've seen Kadalis pop off, and when you give him time like this, when you give him space, he can get that turn easily for his team.
And what T1W have to do is just deny this high ground, right? Have their Hammond jump up there, extra rockets into the Widow. Don't let Kadalis set up. Meanwhile, Silver 3 going a little bit too deep as the Hammond player. He's playing a little bit aggressive, so not a resable position for Illusion. Valkyrie comes in and he drops in mid-Valk from a Widowmaker. That's 6 shots from Kadalis that we didn't get to see, but because of those picks from the DPS, LGD can now take back the point.
Now Wanli helping to clean up, but 44% on the board here for T1W.GZA, and they already utilized their EMP. LGD certainly have that in their favor as they didn't have to utilize anything to get that flip. Instead, they relied on the pick potential and the synergy that they had, especially surrounding Kadalis, and then just cleaning up after that. So now it's just about holding on to this control that they have here, and certainly the Infrasight going to be a big factor for that. Now just looking for the EMP, Kaneki trying to cement those kills for his team so that they can even out this scoreline.
You have so many ultimates from LGD to hold this. It's the EMP first from Kaneki. It gets maybe the Pharmacy out of the sky. At least the Mercy will completely cancel Milan Ron, and he goes down right after. So now you're missing a lot of DPS. It's up to Assassin to equal up those numbers. To even up those numbers, he does find the Sombra, the follow-up from the Barrage. Assassin gets his second pick now. He wins that Widow duel. T1W gets another one. So this is winnable just on the back of Assassin. This is insane, Heurix.
Absolutely, and this is kind of going back the other direction, right? I mean, LGD, they were able to win the fight with just a couple of picks that started out initially a great dive and then followed up with by Kadalis to be able to get those picks. And now this time around, T1W.GZA, they do the exact same thing with Assassin instead. So certainly they found a way to kind of equalize and certainly put the pressure onto Kadalis, where he's not being able to shine as brightly as he has been able to in his past maps because Assassin is just playing that well.
There's a nano given to the Pharah of Wanli. Did get that sleep, actually hitting that Pharah, and the Pharmacy's just immediately canceled from T1W, getting that last rocket. Oh, it's actually Hoyo-chan who's like, if you can't do it, I'll just do it myself with my own pistol. So LGD on the back of that, get back the point, and they'll be able to equalize the score.
So now LGD, they did actually have to utilize some ultimates in that last fight. Now here T1W.GZA, they have the EMP available. You can see High-B already getting into position. He's looking for the Pharah Mercy. That's his target here.
Oh, just cutting the wings from the bird. Drops down. There's a follow-up from Silver 3, and Assassin right on top of them. But LGD will lose the point. They're able to equalize the score for the moment, but it's so back and forth. Neither team have been able to hold really a defense. It's been flip after flip.
Absolutely, and we're seeing T1W.GZA, they gain control because of that EMP, but now they have to hang on to it, and it's going to be a return EMP from Kaneki to maybe see if they can swing this thing back in their favor. They have the nano boost to follow up with as well. The question becomes, who do you put it on? Maybe Melon is the one to go for, as he will be able to land that pile driver with immense force.
99% though, overtime, LGD can't play around anymore. They've lost their Ana, big source of healing now gone. You only have Lucio. Kaneki tries to even up the score with an EMP, but T1W, they stick together. They stand tall, and they just stick their bodies on the point, and they're able to completely push over and run over LGD, starting off this round 100-84. And there's been so many bright stars on T1W, but Assassin, I think, is the one to keep your eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think going into this matchup, just as we've said over the course of the intro segment, we talked a lot about how if T1W.GZA, if they're able to stick to those DPS selections, they should do well and stick to what they have. And not only that, they haven't just been matching LGD in this DPS department, but they've also in some ways kind of surpassed them. I think they've really done quite well to be able to match Kadalis with Assassin specifically, and then keep everything else in check, especially Hybe showing off some of that versatility that we love seeing from that particular guy right there.
But now DPS aside, downtown does call for more widows and fires and all the craziness, but now there's a lot more ceilings here on Mecha Base, usually calling for the 3-2-1. What's interesting is that Wyatt right out the gates goes with the Moira. So I maybe expecting the DPS out of LGD right off the bat.
So yeah, actually coming back to that 3-2-1 with the Sombra, Milan Ron going to be taking that role away from Hybe for the time being, and LGD just taking advantage of all this DPS, so much pressure.
Pressuring them right back, so much room. Kaneki's completely unnoticed. But a lot of healing from T1W because of this Moira who's still alive. There's no diva from LGD to be eating these healing orbs, so they could be stabilizing on the point. But they actually decide to rotate away, focusing more on the high ground and actually just going right back to spawn, where that first cap will go to LGD.
So getting control early, and T1W.GZA now waiting on that Coalescence EMP. That of course they want to pull out the Coalescence quickly here, put the pressure down onto LGD and gain the advantage in that high ground, where certainly they could just throw that Coalescence all the way through.
They caught that Dragon Strike, almost caught T1W just pushing forward. It separated them and mainly got them down from the high ground, which is what LGD, because of these snipers, that's where they want to set up. They want to perch at different angles, and Kadalis with a 2K is, because of their amazing positioning, they're able to pull things off like that. So this will be LGD getting another fight.
So T1W, I mean, they are going to be coming up onto that EMP. They still held onto the Coalescence, so they certainly have the ability to get the flip here. LGD, on the other hand, you can see that they're very much cemented on this high ground. It's going to be tough to dislodge them from this. It's going to take virtually everything out of T1W to close that gap, take that space away from LGD Gaming, and start getting those kills onto Melon if they can throw down the shield from him.
T1W, they have the tools. Now, can they take it back? You could see at least the EMP is ready for Milan Ron, and we're kind of looking through the eyes of LGD on how they're going to react on this. And you could see it's very slow going for T1W. It's going to be up to 75%. Milan Ron drops the EMP, catches only 2, and only the snipers of LGD. And it's up to Silver 3 and Hybe to collapse on them, to follow up on them while their mobility cooldowns have been taken away. Although, even with that EMP, it's only the mech that they were able to claim. So T1W now have to invest the primal to see if they can disrupt the formation of the supports. Chasing after them, they will at least get the Ana out of the picture, and that might just be enough for T1W, but unfortunately for them, their own supports are starting to fall. Thankfully, with Lucio and Brig heals, it's enough to claim back the point for T1W if they want it.
Oh, I'm sure they want it. T1W, they get it, they secure it, but yeah, the re-engage should be swift though from LGD. Melon did just make a swap onto the Winston, so now they're playing that Winston, well, now 2 DPS as Kaneki has swapped over to the Brig. That's going to allow them to better deal with the brawl.
EMP drop from LGD. I think it only caught maybe T1W's illusion. There's Lucio player who was denied using the barrier. So solo EMP, sure, it's good enough, because Kadalis and the rest were able to catch T1W trying to protect him. So now taking this one back, T1W now have to touch in overtime. We could be going to a round 3, and we will.
All right, LGD, they equalize here. And T1W.GZA just not able to get off the ground as much as they could on that DPS composition, instead falling back onto the laurels of their 3-3. That certainly allowed them to play well in the Pacific Showdown, but here, I think, again, this is just outside of their comfort zone, playing against the triple DPS inside of that 3-2-1. on the Sombra. And this is where I think T1W, you see them already posting up onto those DPS picks again. I think this is where they look a little bit better. I think they have a much better shot when they're able to play the DPS, and they're pulling that out here on this now final round here of Busan to determine who's going to get the early lead in this series.
Out the gates, LGD, both teams relying on their DPS, and when we remember downtown, Assassin was heavily winning those Widow duels against Kadalis and even taking care of the pharmacy from LGD. We'll see if maybe both teams have learned their lessons, and a different map dichotomy can also spell different rotations, different positioning, where it's going to be slow going for us so far.
Yeah, you can see Assassin taking it slow, waiting for that call out to tell him where Kadalis is, because Kadalis has already been firing away this entire time. So he wants to get that rotation and shut him down as best he can, get that 65 advantage and eliminate the biggest problem on the field, which is constantly going to be Kadalis.
Well, T1W was the first to make the move, right? You saw Silver 3 already pile drive into LGD's backline. They were able to hack Secret, the Ana player from LGD. And after that, there was so much freedom for Molanran because Wanli had to back up and protect his backline. So Molanran getting those extra rockets in, able to claim that first fight. And now they can trap them a little bit, it seems.
Silver 3 going around, finding the picks that they need to be able to make sure that they stabilize here in this point. They can surely keep Molanran safe up on this high ground, and being able to pull out this Pharah again, I'm sure he's very happy to play this again. But nonetheless, T1W.GZA with control early on. Again, really solid with the DPS picks. Have to make sure that they're keeping Silver 3 safe, and they've done that quite well so far. Assassin being able to deal with that sniper duel has forced Kadalis onto the Tracer.
Oh, that's a great pick from Kadalis. Oh, both Anas traded, actually. It's almost tough to watch this match because both teams are in each other's backlines, making it impossible for the supports to survive. Molanran's going to find the second. Kadalis is going to go after the Widowmaker. Meanwhile, T1W still haven't lost control of the point, so they'll get up to almost 50%, while LGD don't have a ton of members to keep contesting this. The mines from Silver 3 make it even more difficult for LGD to find the space to even dance around this drum.
Well, T1W, I mean, they can sustain forever if nobody's touching Silver 3, and you can see how LGD, they're going to be losing Hoyochan, so now have to commit if they're going to be able to stay in this fight, and they do indeed. The nano boost onto Melon, he's very close to the Primal as well.
Oh, Melon, but your Ana, your Tracer, and your Brig are dead. This is going to be tough for him to just flip the fight by himself, and he smartly disengages, didn't want to use the Primal into a losing fight, even though it was just a second away from them to cap it. But T1W never lose control. Maybe they look like they were losing the fight, but it's taking LGD to capture the whole point for them to start any progress.
But Wanli, the EMP at the ready, 93%. High B has one as well. This could very well come down to this 1v1. Who's going to find more value?
Oh, he canceled!
Oh!
Oh!
Wait!
I didn't know it's on the point! What happened? Mom! Help! I don't know what happened. There was so much shit to unpack there. T1W will claim the map. Let's bring back Naori. Naori, I have so many questions. You have all the answers. What did you think of that first map?
I think it kind of went more or less as I expected. Coming through onto Mecha base, it made a lot of sense that they were trying to run a 3-2-1 instead of their massively spam-heavy composition. But unfortunately, as we kind of mentioned on our opening desk, the 3-2-1 T1W, it's not their best composition. And it was getting pretty destroyed by a double sniper, which generally speaking wouldn't do so well against the 3-2-1 composition. And that really does kind of speak to the fact that it's not their best composition. But on the first and the third map, when they were running their DPS composition, when they had Molanran on that Pharah and they had Assassin on the Widowmaker, oh Lord, it was picks left and right. There was just absolutely no concern whatsoever. They really did so well there. Poor LGD. They did actually swap to dive, and they got so close on that last map to finally capping in their favor. And it was really nice to see Kadalis on that Tracer because he was really wreaking havoc in the back line, getting a couple of picks as well, but just there wasn't enough follow-up. It really feels to me like LGD need to also rely a little bit more on their DPS-heavy compositions, particularly against a team like T1W. I don't know. T1W are just looking really strong at the moment. I'm waiting to see if we are going to see Micha coming in, though, for the next match.
Yeah, I think I think the interesting thing has been the story between Assassin and Kadalis. I mean, going into this matchup, I think everybody was just talking so highly of Kadalis. I mean, even since we saw him in the final map of their week 1 matchup, and then showing out as well in their week 2 matchup, LGD certainly, there's a lot of talk surrounding them, but T1W has kind of silenced that, I think, to a degree, showing that Assassin can do very, very well in that head-to-head, and even actually force Kadalis off of his typical carry pick of the Widowmaker by forcing him onto a different type of hyper carry of the Tracer to try to even shut down Assassin a little bit more. Again, it wasn't because Kadalis was playing poorly, it's just that he wasn't popping off and putting the entire team on his back, so he had to make a swap in order to try to basically enable that.
Well, in that last round, that was honestly not clean play from either side. The only reason T1W won that is because they played aggro at the gates. They're able to get that first cap, and then they were losing members here and there. Both teams were in each other's backlines, killing each other's Anas, but you never saw LGD actually refocus their attention on the objective. And then they had EMP, they used it, and then C9. So this is something I hope that you not only get the kills, but also now who's going to call that rotation to get back the point, to get back on the card, whatever the objective is. So, well, there is T1W up 1-0. It is time for a break, and when we get back, it will be Assault. See you soon. T1W are up 1-0 over LGD. Remember, this is a repeat of the semifinal. Went to Game 5. We could be going here for a while, and Volskaya will be our next map.
Yeah, already a good start, I think, for T1W.GZA. Again, this is a statement match for them. LGD is a team that is certainly on the rise, so T1W has to kind of stomp that momentum out to be able to still really be in that conversation for a team that deserves to be in the finals already at this point in the season. I mean, coming back, having that showdown performance at Pacific Showdown, obviously, to be able to continue that discussion around them, they certainly want to keep that up, and it has to start here. And I think right now, with that 1-0 lead that they have, again, continue to show off your DPS-centric compositions as best you can, and you can continue that level of performance.
And there were some substitutions during the break, hence why I took a few extra minutes. And we'll highlight those as they come in. But not only is this rematch historical, but LGD are in second, T1W.GZA are in third. This also matters for the standings and then the playoffs, etc. So out the gates, we are seeing a Widowmaker on the offense. The defense have already scouted this out. They're going to go for actually an entry pick.
See him. Oh, the boy is on it. He's on the Doofus, and Assassin already eliminated Rookie. There's a couple of subs that came in. Hybe out, Micha in. We do see Kadalis out as well, with Rookie coming in, Tancho coming in as well for Melon. So a lot of adjustments being made, but LGD already kind of crumbling under the pressure as Assassin got that first pick.
Yeah, and it was Rookie that initiated that. Like, you came to my playing field. You came to my sandbox. So you would think that Rookie should have been able to win that, and now because of this tremendous snowball, T1W can literally bowl on to this point and take it within the first fight. Mulan run casual 3K, you know?
Yeah, I think that was actually initially set up by a sleep dart, if I'm not mistaken, from Wea to be able to allow for Assassin to just kind of take a breath, exhale, let the shot go through. You know, a gentle squeeze of the trigger. Very simple approach for him. Now, though, 7 minutes on the clock. Have to be able to close this out. A lot of time to play with now for T1W. And really, I think it comes down to being able to shut down Rookie again. If you can find that Sombra player, that's a huge advantage going into point B.
Well, Milanron is in your bedroom with a barrage. What do you do? And LGD just want to close the door and lock it, make sure he can't come. They actually get the hack, but he's able to get to safety. Rookie's there for the finish. Not enough healing coming out. It could be Resible. You see Illusion's going to go for it. Unfortunately, Kaneki will also get, fortunately, he will also get resurrected. So T1W built a lot of space. They're trying to keep this momentum going, trying to get that first pick. I think even the Nano was given the Silver 3, but due to the EMP from Rookie, this slowed a lot of things down from T1W. As Silver 3 is going to continue to play bowling towards the right side until his bubble will be bursted.
So T1W, they get a couple of kills, but not the amount that they really kind of need to be able to close out this push. 5:50 on the clock here as now LGD. They have stabilized, and they also have a couple of ultimates here. LGD still playing into that triple DPS. Despite taking Kadalis out, they're playing Rookie here on the Sombra. and relying on that consistent pressure between the McCree and the Hanzo to allow them to find the kills and be able to shut down Micha on the Doomfist.
Yeah, so he's going to want to use this ultimate to get himself out of a bad situation. Go towards the high ground, harass not only the snipers, but also the supports, while also being careful of Wanli, who specifically swapped to the McCree for him. Picks up already 2, so this defense holding so solidly. And now you're staggering more, as Illusion just might be able to get out. T1W now missing only 1. It's their main tank, though, and Melonron. I don't know how long he's going to stick on to the fair if Wanli's going to pop off like this.
Yeah, I mean, Wanli is certainly the thing that's basically changing everything right now, and they're not making adjustments. T1W, as they're going to dive through, everybody that is coming into the sightline of this McCree player is going to be in danger. I mean, Silver 3, Micha, Melonron, they're all kind of soft countered by the McCree. If he's not put under pressure, then Wanli can easily eliminate them from the matchup.
Oh, Melonron needs so much support. He's getting hacked, and he has to worry about where Wanli is. And Silver 3 recognizes that if he takes care of Wanli, then Melonron can pop off, and that's someone you need to be carrying your team to this victory. Silver 3 finding his way behind Tanchio. He's trapped himself in a corner, but that's enough to deny objective time from T1W, who spent quite a bit of time to get these picks. As Wanli is going to deny Micha, he's going to deny Melonron, and there's a barrage from Melonron to equalize those numbers. Walking away with 2, getting more rockets in. There's the Valkyrie from Hoyo-chan going for a res. That's pretty risky, but you're getting that shield back on the point, which is so crucial for LGD.
And Micha going back in, looking for the Ana pick. Can't find it initially, and LGD in the meantime, they're low, but they're still finding the kills on their side.
Oh, Kaneki's looking at a wall, but it's okay. We're all back. Everything is fine for the defense, but T1W, it's been quite some time, several minutes that they've been here.
Yeah, I mean, they initially had something like 7 minutes, just over that, to be able to cap this point. I mean, it was insane the amount of times, or the amount of attempts that they're going to have at this, but they've already gone through a few of those. Now they're swapping things up, and this is where they now have been forced again to swap over to this 3-2-1, where T1W, again, not as comfortable with this. They would certainly prefer to play their DPS composition, and they're also now having to build some of these ultimates up, so this is going to take even more time off the clock.
Well, this rotation towards the left, they're going to get funneled by this dragon. Kaneki has a line of sight on them. Could be used to divide them or even get some kills. He actually gets slept, so he won't be able to use it. EMP from Rookie gets every single one from T1W, and they only had really a nano. They actually survive as the dragon finally comes out from Kaneki to trap T1W on the right side. And without a shield, how did T1W even break out of this? Now they're just going to be ult batteries.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough situation for T1W here. I mean, LGD, they're going to be able to jump on the point, deny that first tick to go through. It looks like they were trying to sneak it. But again, as I was saying before, T1W, they're very much in that building phase, as LGD is now going to actually swap things up themselves. They have Wanli still currently on the McCree. He has the Deadeye. That could actually break down the shields for T1W and give a huge advantage to LGD by winning that shield trade.
Yeah. It's all about who can take care of each other's shield providers. And now that there's no mercy on the field, there's no forgiveness anymore from either side. But there's a first pick from Wanli. He's been always the one who keeps his defense stable. Getting a second pick. Keep this camera on Wanli. There's Tanchio going for a ride a little bit, finding his 3rd kill. How are they going to deal with this man?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he hasn't been forced to swap off, and they can continue to hold on to that Deadeye if they want to. I mean, they could easily swap him off and have no problem with it, but to be able to still have that in their back pocket, that means that you can actually force T1W to play very much defensively. They have to hold that shield up, and then you can break it down very easily, win that shield trade, and go from there.
There's the Walis and EMP, but no shatter at the ready. Melonron throws the translocate out. He's ready. They're trapped towards the left, so if they can keep them there, they don't need to use the EMP quite yet. But also, Wanli could be zoning them with the Deadeye, so keeping Silver 3 alive is going to be critical. EMP, shatter. They waited for the moment, and it's paying off. T1W can get their first tick, and they can look for the second. How LGD are going to fight back. Tanchio wasn't able to use the shatter. And LGD coming back with a grab, but it's Micho throws out his first, zoning out anyone trying to recontest, and T1W will finish the map.
So T1W, they do manage to get all the way through. However, remember, it did take them quite a long time on point B, and it was after being forced over to that 3-2-1 composition where finally they were able to get some push through. But overall, I mean, initially, I think it's certainly profound, I think, to see that their momentum was actually stifled on that first point B attack, where they were able to easily cap A and then got completely warded off almost immediately on the next push.
But I like that LGD forced T1W to think twice about their DPS. The Wanli swap, the McCree was all they needed to shut down T1W multiple times. This costed them minutes over the several first picks that he got. So you got Milan off the Pharah, you got Micho off the Doomfist. This is one of their best heroes. So forcing them to go to the 3-3, although T1W got the point, it costed them several minutes. So I like the way LGD are forcing T1W to think.
Yeah, I mean, certainly pushing T1W off of that comfortable composition that they're always starting out on is a huge pivotal thing, I think, for the side of LGD, and allowing them to actually force those swaps out. You're also pulling time off the clock, because as they make those transitions, you're talking about a minute and a half, minute 45, maybe even 2 minutes of pure building phases for them to be able to do something with that swap. So I think even if it does work out in T1W's favor, you're still playing into the time bank and playing into those advantages that later on can have they can determine whether or not you wind up taking this or not. I mean, 36 seconds to be able to drain that kind of time is insane.
So LGD is an Orisa type of offense, so this can go much slower. Remember T1W, they ran a Hammond type of DPS comp, so they were able to bowl through and get the point within the first fight. LGD have to keep resetting up this shield against T1W. This could be a slower approach, which might cost them time.
They got the Soldier alongside the Hanzo. That's a lot of shield break for T1W to deal with, and they are not going to win out that shield trade at all. So high ground needs to be stolen away from T1W here. LGD need to try to make that rotation as best they can. Losing members like that is not the best way to go about it. So still in mid rotation, getting Rookie up to the high ground. That's the name of the game for LGD. And then as soon as Wanli comes back, go for it.
Yeah, he didn't get a ton of ult charge. There was a lot of time focused getting to that high ground, where Assassin won the Widow duel. He won the Widow versus Soldier duel. Resurrect already out for the offense. So now they're setting up camp. Now it's up to T1W to support Silver 3, give him all the healing he needs, because they're going after him. Assassin is still winning the Widow duels. So also Wanli has to carry his weight in that department if they want to have a hope of taking this point.
Oh, Assassin has become such a huge threat for T1W, has allowed them to get back into this fight, and Micha just going one step further.
Oh boy, Assassin is so scary. He popped off on the first Busan map. He's just 1v3ing everybody from the other side, and that's the whole reason that LGD just couldn't keep up that momentum.
So now for a second time, LGD, you can see that they have swapped Rookie off to an actual off tank here. He's going to be playing the Roadhog as opposed to the Soldier. Again, still a lot of shield pressure onto Silver 3, who as well doesn't have an off tank himself and has to rely solely on his rotations of his shields. So big openings for LGD Gaming should they play into that, but Milan shutting the door.
Wanli almost walked into his own teammate with Pulse Bomb, and Milan denied the res. He's a one-man army.
2 HP? Are you kidding me?
2 HP! Someone sneeze on the man. Okay, but he got a health pack, it's okay, but he's still harassing the supports. Kaneki needs to finish it. Secret does just that. So, now LGD can refocus their attention forward now that the supports are not dying anymore.
And Wanli is also a little bit more safe to be able to take that duel against Assassin, as Milan isn't exposing him in the backline, turning his sights around, so he can take that more head on here. And again, apply shield pressure, and they did just that.
You have Supercharger, Nano, and Valkyria from T1W, and the fight was over almost as they started. As Illusion's going in with the Mercy pistol, but once the dust clears LGD, they get the point, and you can get ready for point B.
But 3 minutes already. I mean, T1W, think about the composition that they were playing here and how it's insane that T1W was able to stay on there for so long. You're talking about playing the Doomfist into what was the Hanzo, the Soldier, the Widow, so much pressure to deal with. Then suddenly you see the swap, still shield pressure advantage to LGD, and T1W still stabilized. Silver 3 stays alive through all of it. Now though, they're making some swaps. They're still in that DPS comp here defensively. 440 on the clock. T1W looking to try to find some kind of opening for themselves here.
Oh, great hook. That actually gets him away from the support, so that's great. But LGD have now set up their Orisa shield, their hog. Their entire front line is comfortable on this point. B, what a hook! They get Y out of the picture. Does find that translocate from Assassin. Illusion is so low. Wanli gets the body shot to finish it. Oh, T1W, this is a rough defense, but Assassin with 2 equalizes those numbers, but someone has to keep touching this point. Rookie's making hard for the whole hog originally to make that space, but LGD within the first fight about to walk away with that final tick.
And how is Hoyo-chan still alive? Time enough for the Valkyrie to come out, and now we'll see LGD be able to kind of disengage just for a moment and allow for them to re-engage here. They get the kill on Illusion, and none other than Hoyo-chan as well.
Hoyo-chan with the Mercy Pistol, no big deal. Michia has no fear of no McCree stun, gets that finish, uses the ultimate to reposition. And I think T1W have put out the fire that was the defense going on, and they've stopped it at 2 ticks.
Still though, LGD, you can see them making those same adjustments that we saw initially. Wanli going back over to that DPS pick that was just so solid for them against the Pharah and the Doomfist as well. Now, of course, Assassin on the Sombra to have that McCree, to have that utility of the flashbang, and then be able to eliminate Michia as well as Milanron quickly.
Oh, EMP. T1W dropping on their faces, and oh, Michia with the 3K. The guy's disgusting. You guys have to watch this guy's Doomfist, and I'm so excited for this 2-2-2 meta where he can shine even more. And even with the McCree, where last round that totally canceled his Doomfist, he's now building a lot of confidence to go up against Wanli.
Yeah, I think this is actually something where T1W, I mean, again, I can't express this enough. The fact that T1W is able to play the 3 DPS composition all the way through in these first 2 maps, LGD cannot force them off of it and get into something where they have been more successful. This is a comp tailored to try to deal with T1W on this Doomfist and Pharah selection, and still they are struggling. Milanron and Michia are just so solid.
But what T1W are doing is preventing them from setting up this shield. They're playing in their face, they're playing at the gates. Milanron, Wanli gets the shots that matters. And Illusion just used res, so he won't be able to get Milanron, and Michia just got killed again. So this is amazing plays from Wanli to even use the Deadeye to zone everyone away. There we go.
And finally getting some value out of that selection of the McCree too. Finally being able to get the space that he needs so that he can safely take those shots rather than being constantly under pressure. We saw he was trying to go for Milanron a couple of times there, but Michia there to try to basically take advantage of the fact that his eyes are in the sky, so...
Yeah, well, and even Time Bank, we're going to bring back Naori before we go into the next rounds. That's some incredible plays from Wanli.
Wanli is literally a shining star right now. The fact that he can basically counter Sombra, Doomfist, Pharah, and Wrecking Ball just
like himself.
Pretty much. He's the guy to look out for right now. And on top of that, just by existing, he creates pressure. Also the fact that he hits his shots. He's doing so much work for his team right now, and it's really forcing T1W to go into some strange compositions that they aren't exactly comfortable with. T1W are still showing some big strength right now, and it's not looking terrible for them, but they really need to be aware of Wanli. I mean, Assassin is also doing some fantastic stuff, but that matchup is really dangerous at the moment. So the person that they need to be looking out for right now is Wanli 100%.
Oh, as we head into the map. That was quick. Thank you, Naori. She'll join us after the map is done. See if her predictions are so far 100%. But now the key, how do you take down Wanli, Heurix?
It's tough. I don't know if there's really a straight answer because T1W.GZA used to be able to rely on high B, just play the diva, right? Lol, forehead, but he's not in play now. So who do you have to play diva? Nobody. LGD could continue to play this McCree, and that's why they haven't really forced him off of it. You have to be able to play the diva here if you want Wanli to swap, and they just don't have one available.
So we said he counters Milan Run, he counters Michia. Now Silver 3's having an issue. And this is a solo man. There is no Brig with the CC. Of course, there's Secret too. So I'm really worried about Silver 3 on this Ham, and there's not a lot of time. You cannot get stunned and picked like that once again. 12 seconds remain. T1W. You can see Milan Run is creeping over in the sunset towards the left. Wan Lee has his name in his death note. We'll see if T1W can get this point. A few seconds remain. LGD are gonna wait this out, and there's the halt and hook. Catches Silver 3. He's hacked and dead. T1W now without a tank. Do they have a leg to stand on?
Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but T1W, they are finding the kills. That's both supports down now for LGD.
Able to turn it around. That is so surprising. LGD lost both their supports when they had the initial advantage. A barrage is canceled. Wan Lee cannot be stopped. But maybe the defense can entirely. 1v6 is a little hard, but T1W still have gotten a tick yet. This fight is not over. LGD are coming back. Waya, someone save the man. Wan Lee is 10 HP and putting the team in his enormous backpack. And now the rest of his team will hold the defense. T1W get nothing.
Oh, that's such a feels bad there at the forefront, especially like trying to play the tank and dealing with all the different CC that's coming your way. But nonetheless, Wan Lee coming out ahead, and somehow they were able to stay alive despite losing out on both of their supports in that fight. You could see them just kind of playing off of those health packs until finally Waya slides in and denies at least the mini pack, but still you saw Wan Lee just kind of focusing on staying around the Mega, and certainly that was allowing him to sustain himself for the time being and cancel out some of those ultimates that were coming their way. But 2 minutes, I think it was 25 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, for an attack now that could very well see LGD coming out ahead. They only need, I believe, that first tick.
I just don't think the answer was the Hammond, because you have McCree, Sabra, and an Ana to deal with. Silver 3 got picked first both times in those fights. How you were going to cancel Wan Lee? Maybe the Winston bubble. Yes, it's like kind of the same concept. You're diving him, you get stunned, so you need more resources into your main tank who's going to deal with Wan Lee. And maybe the Winston bubble would have just cut off the resources from Wan Lee enough to get that pick, because Wan Lee consistently was getting 3-for-1 trades. He's getting so much value, and that we're up to T1W to see how they're going to counter this on their last defense. LGD have 2 minutes and 25 to get 33%.
And again, that same problem where you're playing the triple DPS, and that's certainly the best way to go about things, but the difficulty here is that you don't really have the ability to fall back onto a diva that might be able to save your main tank. So we'll have to see if LGD can expose that vulnerability in T1W's composition and the roster that they've played for this map here, as they do make their first opening rotations. Time certainly dwindling slowly, but Wan Lee getting into position here on the Widowmaker.
And it's up to Michia to also identify those halts, because he doesn't want to dive in if the Orisa has halt, because he could get halted into death. So you saw that he was able to correctly identify the cooldowns in his first dives. He has to be extremely careful, because he could get countered from not only the snipers, but the CC, just sheerly from LGD, who set up now their shield, starting to look for that first tick, as T1W are taking angles around them.
And as time is continuing to go forward, you can see LGD just trying to get the picks that they need. They get one, but Michia, he's gone loose in the back line. Wan Lee's dead already.
It's a good resurrect. Silver 3 is crucial here to keep this shield and buy time for reinforcements. Rookie is just walking past it. Illusion has so much healing to do, but he's relying on Milan Ron and the rest of the DPS to hold on to this defense, and they do just that. It got so close, though.
And I'm surprised Wan Lee wasn't out on the McCree to start with. You knew T1W was likely to pull this kind of composition out, and that's the best way that you found to be able to deal with it. Now you only have 50 seconds left, and the pressure is on here with T1W very well in position, comfortably seated where they want to be, and now you have to try to find a way to get line of sight on players like Milan Ron to put the pressure down on them.
Oh, Silver 3, he looked like a Pharah there for a second. Had his rocket pack on, but disengages back towards the point. Supercharger, a lot of damage available for T1W. 30 seconds and less remaining for LGD. And there's so much pick potential from T1W. Assassin gets Wan Lee. The Resurrect could be going through. Milanron does catch Hoyanchan with the barrage. Denies the Resurrect, or he didn't deny the Resurrect, but still the Mercy's dead. That fight is dead. And LGD have 10 seconds to touch the point.
And they might not have an Ana. Somehow Secret gets out, but The Nano's gone, and now it's just desperation. This could very well be actually drawn here, as T1W still have economy advantage as well.
Oh, could this be the draw? LGD, they have a Tracer, Wanli with a hope and a dream, and takes care of the supercharger. That's one out of 7 things, 7 tasks that you have to do. The to-do list is long, and Micha makes it even more difficult. T1W holding such an incredible defense despite LGD having several minutes to think this one through. And as overtime goes away, T1W still remain in the lead after this draw.
And even still, also pulling out a composition that we saw LGD kind of soft counter, at least to a degree, and still they find value with those picks. Wanli not coming out with the McCree early enough, I think, so unfortunately they stumbled there and the draw comes through.
As we bring back Naori, our expert analyst, your T1W predictions look pretty solid. They're still up 1-0. What did you think of LGD on the Volskaya map?
Well, geez, they were looking so incredibly strong, and I love that they were running the Sombra and the McCree. I mean, we spoke a little bit about Wanli and how he just counters everything. Couple that with a Sombra to kind of help with the countering of everything, and you've got everything basically countered. Unfortunately, it didn't work out so well for them on that last attack. Really, T1W stepped it up a notch for that last defense there. They realized, this was kind of their last stand for that map. They needed to bring it home. And something that I really wanted to talk about was just, it's something we highlighted on the desk, but the synergy with T1W. Yes, they've played together for a long time, and that really shines through. But I don't feel like I can emphasize enough just how well they play together, how well they understand how each other member on the team is going to play and how they react to that. The crossfires that they set up, the positions that they take, they really, really do understand exactly what they're doing, which is why with this composition that just a few minutes ago, LGD absolutely smacked them. When they came through on their final defense, they were able to say, well, no, guess what? We see your composition, but this is our comp, and this is how we're going to play our game. And they managed to hold on. The other thing I really wanted to talk about was Rookie. I fully am understanding the swap out now, because when I first saw it, I was like, what do you mean no Kadalis? Wanli is a fantastic hit scan in and of his own right, and Rookie's Roadhog, those hooks are disgusting. He's doing so much work right now. That was actually a really big brain swap out.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think LGD really, I think their game plan going into this was to try to outplay T1W.GZA in the triple DPS matchup. I think a lot of that rests on Kadalis. I think they were kind of favoring him. And when we saw on map 1 how Assassin was able to, at the very least, match Kadalis, if not in some cases actually overpower him, as we see Wanli coming through, they really had to then kind of rest their laurels on having that flex tank, maybe getting into that 2-2-2 and relying on Wanli to counter out Micha and Milan Ron. He did that a couple of times here, just not enough to get the job done. And now what is a contentious matchup, we see the draw come through. Still though, 1-0 in favor of T1W.GZA, and they could actually close this down by getting one more map win.
I just felt Assassin, like on that Widowmaker especially, was a big reason that LGD, they had maybe initial picks. Like they were consistently killing Silver 3, but then Assassin would get 2 or 3 picks on the Widowmaker, and that was the map. So, T1W after that draw are still up 1-0. We will be heading into Kings Row to see if LGD can get a map. We'll see you soon. We're here on Kings Row, where T1W are still up 1-0 after Volskaya was tied. So we'll see. LGD, it's their last chance to also keep the series alive for themselves.
Yeah, we now move into a map that is kind of different, right? I mean, moving on to Kings Row, this is where you typically see kind of that 3-3 or 3-3 variant of the addition of the Sombra, the 3-2-1, where I think initially T1W would probably be the team that would want to play that first, but when they do, manage to force that composition out, LGD actually plays quite well against it. So I'm curious to see if LGD actually did this on purpose to try to bait T1W into playing this particular map the way that they want them to, and then try to catch them off guard in the process.
Yeah, we only got a bit of a taste of 3-3, 3-2-1 on Point B Volskaya. Both teams really relying on their DPS, and you're seeing a little bit of that again. A Junkrat on the defense with an Orisa D.Va setup, so you're not having that halt and hook, but you are having more damage mitigation. You have that D.Va that can drop down to the low ground, contest, and then fly back up.
So T1W, they do, of course, bring in High B over Assassin. That means you don't necessarily have that Widow head-to-head against Kadalis, but you can at least mitigate pressure that's going and targeting Silver 3. You also have the ability to 2-2-2 dive with this particular composition as well.
Oh, Michia is just in the worst position, trying to reflect all the damage that was coming in. Thankfully, the rest of the dive was somewhat successful, but the trade's going back and forth. T1W go for a resurrect. They must, or, well, it sounded like a resurrect, but T1W still going for that first take in the second. There's barely anyone alive, but they have the closer respawns. LGD are around the corner, ready to hop in for one last fight.
The tanks really came out there for T1W, but the re-engage now for LGD. They have to continue that. Primal at the ready for Silver 3 as he's going forward.
Oh, smacking everyone right back into the room, right back to where they came from. T1W, though, they did, Silver 3 was sleeping slightly. You can see Michia doesn't even have Blade. This has been kind of a brawly fight. It's taken him some time to get it back. And once the dive tanks have been cleared, T1W will reset again.
So LGD off the re-engage, actually able to turn this in T1W. They had the ability to go for, you know, that EMP Nanoblade combo prior, but now that they make this swap, it's that 3-2-1. It's forced out of T1W here. Luckily for them, Milan Ron, he's going to be very close to that EMP that's coming up. Nano Boost available, but you have to be able to somehow make it to the high ground or pull LGD down to the low ground as you are utilizing this Reinhardt here.
Ooh. Yeah, having that high ground's pretty spicy for these biotic grenades, and T1W have to close the distance between Melon. It's all up to Silver 3 to just keep swinging away. He's got the supports, and hey, let's drop an EMP on him too, so he literally can't fight back. T1W taking the fight in their hands, but not converting too many kills from this EMP. It's Kadalis that answers back with his own, and that's where LGD found way more value with that ultimate.
And Waya, he does have the Nano Boost, which is coming away from that last fight, pretty much the only thing that's available on either side. I mean, of course, Kaneki does have the rally to kind of play off of, but T1W, I think the biggest problem here is the fact that they cannot approach the high ground. I mean, LGD are so safe and comfortable and secure up top that T1W have to make a rotation just like this to be able to pull them off of that position and be able to take the fight down to the low ground or at least be on the same level as their opposition.
Yeah, you either go to them or you drop on the low ground and force a rotation, but Silver 3 didn't really know what to, kind of wasn't playing as aggressive when you have to do just that against an Orisa as he charges that wall. Now down to the low ground. T1W is a nice halt from Melon to force them down. And now they have to wait for LGD to come down to them. And it's a supercharger rally. It's a good start for LGD in the DPS department as T1W use the nano to Silver 3. Swinging away, going after the supports, taking care of the supercharger, forcing LGD into a room. Looking for that final tick. Not a lot of time left to do it as Milanron had to translocate out at low HP. And Secret gives the nano to the Brig just for that sustain, just for make it so he's unkillable, so that T1W have to wait it out.
We see LGD sustaining here. Only one tick still needed by T1W. They're starting to get the Graviton up. Misha has it available, needs to catch LGD, find some kills inside of that so that they can actually turn this fight in their favor. Right now, I don't think it is.
Silver 3 needs to go at him. There's not much breaking his shield. He needs to go after that Orisa. And T1W will take the fight in their own hands. They grab the supports. T1W get EMP'd from LGD, who used the barrier on top of that for the extra advantage. But without secrets, a lot of healing gone for the moment. Silver 3 goes for a shatter play. And now they've taken control of the area, but without Silver 3, there's no shield protecting T1W, but there's also not really anyone left from LGD to keep contesting. So they won't get that final tick.
Yeah, on top of that, T1W, I mean, this was just fully winnable from them as soon as they were able to get that shattered down. They, of course, even had the ability to fall back onto the sound barrier if they needed it, but now looking forward, it took them quite a long time to secure that final objective there. Now they only have just over 2 minutes. They're only just now moving this cart through the archway. LGD should be able to attack pretty quickly here. Maybe not inside the archway, but very close after it moves through. And they have the rally. They're going to get aggressive, try to play off of this, force T1W to use both of their ultimates if they can.
Oh, EMP from T1W gets every single one from LGD, who had to use the barrier just to keep contesting the last point. Will T1W get a good cleanup? But with only 2 minutes that they had to go into Streets phase, that's realistically 2 fights, so they have to win everything if they want a good chance at B. And LGD will be coming back, and they could have the payload exactly where they want it.
Yeah, I mean, this really comes down to Illusion. If he's going to be able to answer the EMP, I mean, Kadalis is going to take him time to rotate back. But if Illusion is safe, if he gets behind line of sight and is able to get away from the EMP, he comes in with the sound barrier. T1W.GZA, they counter with the nano boost rally. They should be able to out-cleave LGD should that happen. It all comes down to Illusion.
And T1W can't drop this fight. There's not a lot of time. LGD used that EMP, but Illusion putting his cape on saves the team with the barrier. LGD losing a lot of space from the hacks going in from either side. Melon is trying to keep contesting as a shatter play goes through from Silver 3 and only catches one. LGD, they got a big bionic grenade from Wyatt and even from Secret. Slowed down the pace from both teams. T1W missing a Reinhardt. It's really up to the energy of Michia to see if he can turn things around now with the grab thrown out. T1W trying to win this fight right here. They're doing just that. LGD have only lost their Lucio after all the dust clears. So T1W might not be able to finish, but Michia's still putting the team on his back.
LGD, they're so low. They're investing the nano boost, and there's the EMP as well to follow up. T1W, they only got 25 seconds, so they absolutely have to reset quickly here. And look at this. The only thing that they have to rely on is the rally. So this is going to be almost a neutral fight going against Melon, who has the shatter, to try to take this second point and keep their dreams alive by pushing through that attack.
Silver 3 can be dying. This guy needs to lead the charge for T1W. They have a rally. LGD start with a shatter. Silver 3 is able to block it at least. Bellin gets booped forward. This needs to be a kill. Silver 3 at his back, turned to another Reinhardt. Thankfully, Michia was there to kill Melon. LGD don't have a Reinhardt. They don't have a shield to protect them. T1W can now build up the ultimates they need to push through the point C. But they still have to clean things up. You can't give time for LGD to get back into this fight. And you can't be making any mistakes, Silver 3! Well, very risky pin. Thankfully, everyone from LGD was dead to not follow up on that. And that will be point B.
So, again, so close to the wire. I mean, down to it. T1W.GZA, they do wind up pulling that one out. Now they have to find out if they can do the same. I mean, it's going to come down to the exact same situation here where they're going to be in overtime trying to cap out that final objective, but it's going to be under a minute, so they don't have the opportunity to go for another round of attacks unless LGD finishes under a minute themselves.
EMP from LGD, T1W, sending them right back into spawn exactly at this last part of point C. Now how they trap LGD, they even grab them, which was probably not necessary, but the stagger kills adding a ton of value because now they can't contest this last point of the card. Can anyone be there to touch? The Hammond from Melon comes in. EMP from LGD catches a few from T1W, but they're able to sustain with the barrier. Now it's just a matter of time. Can LGD keep contesting to send this into overtime? They're starting to get a few picks, only with a Lucio, but T1W is still in firm control. They're in the driver's seat, but they need to get the kills. They can't let this get to overtime.
Oh, yeah, they have to get the kills in the next 15 seconds. If that's not the case, then what I said is going to be completely true here, and they do wind up actually capping it. Woo. So that's going to be huge to have extra time on the clock. Now they get that extra round, should it be required, but to be able to finish that out, I mean, remember, back on point A and point B, so close to actually not even capping that out and still managing to get through. That could actually be a thorn in the back of LGD, should this actually wind up going in favor of T1W.
Michia actually standing out on the Zarya. Like, he held down point B on his own most of the time. And when Silver 3 died, he was able to have, with his high energy, get several picks that made the fight still winnable. And Melon went for a charge. Like, Melon was like in the back line, went for a charge on the Silver 3. And if he would have completed that, that could have been it for T1W. So the fact that Michia was able to get that kill, he saved his teammate. He's an MVP for me.
Absolutely. I think a big turning point in his career, at least recently, was the Pacific Showdown. I mean, he entered that tournament as someone, I mean, there was questions about his Zarya play, considering what we saw in season 1 of 2019. That was something that was on the minds of everybody watching that tournament. And all of a sudden, Michia, he's actually performing quite well on the Pacific Showdown stage on that particular character. And he's going to continue that here for us as well. So I think Michia before was certainly DPS centric, especially on the Doomfist specifically, but has kind of rounded himself out by being able to perform these duties on Zarya. It's a little unfortunate that it won't be necessary for too much longer, but at least for right now, they can benefit from the process.
So on the defense, T1W going with the 3-2-1 on a Sombra, the huge, as LGD at the gates. The huge, you know, such great caster words.
Hello, fellow kids.
Hello, fellow kids. The huge peace sign. But Halt and Hook from the attack. So they're going to be looking to halt up and then hook someone in, go for that initial pick, and set up the shield. Where Silver 3 had issues against the Orisa last round. He wasn't able to play as aggressive into Melon. So they could be trying to test this, but they're going back into spawn for a swap.
All right, it looks like they are going to be seeing the straight mirror, the 3-2-1, Ana versus Ana. That's Waya versus Secret. Secret touted as one of the best Anas in the region. Certainly there are some contenders in that regard, but Secret definitely hands above most of the rest.
Oh, Rookie's getting tossed around a little bit, and Silver 3 got a biotic grenade. He should be fine, and now they're playing a little bit more aggressive, not chasing them too far in. As LGD lost 2, but Rookie's high energy, so once they get those 2 back, it could be a quick engage.
So LGD right now need to be able to kind of pivot quickly. They have to be able to get back onto their front foot and start pushing this forward as Silver 3. He's extended past the statue here on the left side, and that might be an opening for LGD to take control of if they want to go for him and try to kind of create that opportunity for themselves.
But now you have nano to nano. Silver 3 is hacked. T1W just are going to give up all the space. Secret is just waiting for the ghost sign of when they want to play aggressive. When are you going to give that to Melon? Or maybe a Lucio or whoever that was. Clearly not the Reinhardt, which is not the play they were maybe going for. But Silver 3 now receives a nano. Goes for the shatter play. But there's 3 already dead of his team. So T1W going to drop. LGD, get on the point.
A good thought from T1W, just not in control enough to pull it off. I mean, the EMP Shatter combo typically can swing fights in your favor, but not when everybody on your team is dead. So T1W not going to benefit from that, also going to lose those ultimates and certainly go down in economy by quite a wide margin, open up the floor to LGD to try to go for that same combination. And certainly I don't think it's necessary because T1W Illusion is so far behind on this generation of the sound barrier that they should only need the EMP to win this next fight, get that payload through the archway.
Yeah, EMP Shatter is going to be deadly, and T1W, they don't want to funnel too much into that. They got to be expecting it to be okay. You don't usually expect that one to turn to Lucio's way, but with that one pick, you can see now that's the ghost sign. They're collapsing right onto Silver 3 and the rest. At least he dodges that pin. Melon is under fire. But thankfully, he's got the rest of his team by his side. It's a clean finish. LGD didn't even have to use the EMP to push forward.
Yeah, that's one of those classic uh-ohs right there because you don't pull an ultimate out. Yes, you take the engagement aggressively. You pull time off the clock. You're allowing yourself still to have 2 more fights in this phase of the map, especially that Hoya-chan is down at the moment. But GZA need to quickly capitalize on that pick. Otherwise, LGD, they're going to have Hoya-chan coming back quickly on the Lucio and then instigate this next fight with the EMP. And again, they shouldn't need too much else. Maybe one more ultimate.
EMP Shatter. You see Silver 3 is like, no, and reaching out to his support. Save me. And Illusion's like, I'm hacked. I also don't have barrier. Sorry. So LGD with that, holding on though. They didn't even get that kill on the Silver 3. So it's ready for plan B, which is now Silver 3 going in with his Nano Shatter. LGD though, just looking like they gave up a ton of space, looking for a high ground rotation.
Yeah, getting that rotation, also allowing Rookie to be in a safe position to drop the Graviton and then stay up there to put that pressure down from high ground.
Yeah, there's that Graviton from Rookie. T1W hold on with the berry and the Nano. Who was it this time that got it? Someone from the front line, it seems. It's T1W fighting off yet another offensive push from LGD. We're gonna have to reset.
So T1W coming out ahead there, and then not only that, but in winning that fight, they also come ahead in economy somehow. So this is now going to rest on the shoulders of Hoya-chan if they want to be able to win this next fight. Otherwise, they're kind of just waiting on Kadalis here, who's kind of equalizing, quickly being able to even out with Milan Ron, who's stalling just a little bit for now as he's obviously holding this EMP, waiting for his opportunity, but needs to find the backline as Illusion. 15%, that's all he's got for the sound barrier. So if this goes EMP to EMP, LGD will actually have favor in the fact that they do have the sound barrier at their disposal.
And this high ground rotation is smart too. It could be an easy way to try and avoid the EMP shatter. You can see Silver 3's ready for wherever they land. It's gonna be in his LOS. Michi gets slapped. LGD not really reacting to it. They can't really do much. A pin charge is not possible for Melon to go for. It's taking some time. So LGD have the rotation. Now, what did they do with this high ground? They think they got someone towards the right. There's the EMP shatter. It catches a few, but Hoyo-chan with the barrier actually saves most of the team. But Michia should end this fight with the graviton he just threw out. But so much healing's coming out of LGD that eventually they survived for a little bit, but the cleanup is there due to just Michia having so high energy.
Now we'll have to see with a minute remaining if T1W can actually stave off the attack that's going to be coming spearheaded by Kadalis and the EMP. This time around, it's certainly LGD's turn, but Waya having the nano boost available, he could throw that onto Silver 3. The shatter could come out. Silver 3 could go on cleanup duty. So LGD have to be careful that they don't allow an opening for Silver 3 should he not get hacked by the EMP initially.
Another high ground rotation from LGD, which they have the EMP shatter, so you'd maybe want to try and draw the fight towards a narrow corridor from main streets. Now dropping down, Melon receives the Zarya bubble first. He's looking around to see where the Sombra is. Tries to protect Kaneki, playing this very slow in the last 20 seconds. If LGD don't get this, T1W will be up 2-0, and that'll be the series. Silver 3 is hacked. He's getting those supports. He's playing LOS. LGD did just use EMP. Now Silver 3 can focus on how he's going to set up this shatter for the rest of the team. They did only lose their Brig. As Milanron gets hacked, he can't go for the EMP. It was miscommunicated. Silver 3 went for a shatter. EMP wasn't ready for Milanron. LGD about to advance his payload, 0.7 meters. Milanron with the EMP gets every single one from LGD, but they're still holding on. They're still sustaining through it. And that'll be point B. They hold on.
But look at this. They were able to eliminate so much time off the clock that LGD is now in that kind of desperate situation that T1W was in just earlier. And now it's all down to momentum. LGD pushing forward, building up to that next EMP. They have the nano, they have the graviton as well to play off of. T1W has to find a way now before it is too late. And LGD allow this snowball to keep rolling all the way through.
Kadalis has slept, but Silver 3 is not too much of an aggressive main tank that he'd go for that charge, especially with the main tanks nearby. It's a nice thought, but now LGD, they still have energy left over from Rookie. They can play this aggressive. They have the grab. The nano was given to Hybe to survive the grab, and maybe not necessary. The sustain is great, but winning the fight is more important for T1W. They get hit with a shatter, or at least for a few stuns, and now Melon can go for the shatter. Catches them towards the left. A few is down from T1W. That should spell the end for them. LGD looking to finish with time, and that, well, it's only a 10-second advantage, I think.
Still a time bank disadvantage though, and it could very well determine who has one attack or two attacks. That, I mean, it could be a big factor here, especially because given the fact that the time banks are so low, we're expected to probably see those stable compositions come out. Maybe not that kind of same bunker, 3 DPS, whatever kind of style. Instead, maybe more of the 3-2-1, and in a head-to-head like that, that's a 50-50 coin flip as far as I'm concerned, because we've seen good things from both teams, really bright spots that I'm not really sure how this one is going to end up, given the fact that there's only a minute and a half for both of these sides.
And we can revisit that thought you had about, well, what do you do with the time you have left? Do you have one or two attacks? And with, let's say both teams have less than 30 seconds or like now a minute, you really only have one good attack. And if you remember that last round, LGD took almost their entire time just to get the point. So while T1W were at least a little bit cleaner. So we'll see if that plays into that.
It's a struggle too, though, because if we remember back, T1W, I mean, they took a good amount of time themselves where they were struggling to deal with the bunker, especially that high ground control that was in favor of LGD, where we saw them starting out on the Reinhardt and not making the rotation to actually force that high ground rotation down to the low ground where they can take a more effective fight in their favor. So T1W.GZA, I think here they want to come out with a strategy that allows them to play away from that should LGD catch them off guard, and certainly LGD going for the safer approach, as I was mentioned, the 3-2-1, whereas the triple, or actually the double DPS dive in effect for T1W.
Yeah, the straight up dive, they were maybe expecting a bunker setup as how they were going to get to that high ground and deal with it, which is what we've seen before. But a Winston versus Rien, this could be a little bit tough for Silver 3, but a mischarge got Melon a little bit low, but the Fire Strike kind of denied the follow-up from T1W, who have lost already so much, 2 members. In the last 26 seconds, It might be good for a soft reset just to get yourself in a safe position, but Silver 3 staggering, that's going to be painful.
Yeah, because you come out on that 2-2-2 split, really DPS focused, trying to get that dive going, you at least, if you die off quickly like you saw, you have another shot. So 2 fights for T1W.GZA here. Unfortunately for them, all they have to rely on is the Primal, and that's basically it.
Michie looked AFK there for a second, but there we go. I'm almost like a time traveler. I'm like, that don't look right. That doesn't look healthy. But he was maybe going through a bit of a disconnect. We'll see what happened.
Yeah, so T1W certainly don't want to see that happen, of course, at this moment.
The last 8 seconds, too.
Yeah, literally about to enter overtime, and you're already down in economy just by a smidge, but still being able to play out the Primal and trying to find something from that's at least a chance. But if you lose Micha and you're going into this fight effectively 5v6, and again, all you have is the Primal, while Primal is really solid, especially when you bring in the Ana as well, allow you to build time for the nano boost, it's just, I don't think it's going to be really enough now that we've seen this DC come through, especially.
Yeah, and just Molanron assisting them. It didn't get the first picks they were looking for. As it looks like we're right back into game. All right, Primal already into effect from Silver 3, making that space. You don't see Melon being tossed around too much, but Silver 3 is actually sleeping as Melon goes for a panic shatter. Because at the moment, LGD seem they stabilize. They have so many ults. Rookie with the 3K, with the grab on its own. T1W just got hit with one of those unfortunate unluckies, and they will not be able to get any ticks on that point.
Yeah, I mean, at least somewhat fortunate for them that they're able to, stabilize. They're able to keep Micha in there, so he's not losing out on economy-wise. So I think they still had a sort of shot there, but unfortunately, by losing out on those couple precious seconds, you're talking about maybe Micha finding a pick on the Hanzo, maybe not. Unfortunately not, obviously. So they're not able to get it done. And now, in order to force the draw yet again and get even, another half step, I guess, closer to taking this series, they have to make the full stop here. 1.5 minutes on the clock. You did pretty well before. Have to continue that pace here on defense for this first point.
Still very winnable, and it's unfortunate that Michi got hit with some kind of disconnect or a lag issue.
I think it was just lag. He kept his ult, so the ult charge not going away means he didn't full
sure.
DC out of the map.
At least good thing they called for a pause before he got killed, so he was able to just kind of get back into it mentally, hopefully. But now LGD, I think from what I remember, they had a minute something, maybe like 1:10 to get that 33%, so still tieable.
Yeah, definitely still drawable. And while I obviously T1W wants the win, they want to be able to go up 2-0 and secure the victory at the very minimum. Now it becomes a state where they need the draw. Otherwise, LGD starts getting back in this matchup. And if you give that over to LGD and you give that over to players like Kadalis, who we've been talking about this entire time, you go into a map 4, and that's going to be a tough one to come back from.
So now goes back to the Sombra, was trying to go for that initial pick with the Widowmaker. Melon zones them off temporarily. And now how T1W are going to re-engage is important. Silver 3 is the first to drop. He gets hacked. And it's really up to Hybe or even Michia to give him the resources to prevent him from getting hacked, especially if they're not going to be playing a diva who can spy check like that. So Silver 3 is taking so much damage. He's playing almost the Reinhardt like an Orisa, and now he's finally going forward. He's going to react to that sleep, and that's a great pick for the defense.
Yeah, now T1W, actually they come out ahead, but an opening. We see LGD, they have high ground control, and 2 of the players that went out don't necessarily need that position, and Melon can get back quickly. Micha's going to be out of the fight, so no Zarya. That means veritably no damage for T1W.GZA, especially when he comes back with no energy. So the LGD, they could just jump on top of this Primal advantage and get the flip on top of the EMP.
Primal at the ready. Kadalis is okay. Waya, though, has Nano, Silver 3, or is it going to be Silver 3? Could be Hybe, could be a Boostio. Let's find out. Waya is going to throw that Nano over to Silver 3, who gets hacked, slept, and almost eliminated. Surprisingly not dead until now, and that's the Primal from Melon coming into effect, tossing up the back line, looking for the first and only take that LGD need to tie the series. Volskaya was a draw. The first map didn't go their way, but with the 1:13 that they had, they made the most out of it, and they will tie the series here.
So that is that 1-1 now after 3 maps. I remember talking to Kenobi quite a bit, you know, before this matchup. We even talked yesterday about how close we thought this matchup was going to be. It is not disappointing at all in the slightest, as we have seen this tied up and a drawn map as well.
Let's bring back our expert, Naori. As LGD were able to fight back on King's Row, was this to your expectations?
No. But I'm pleasantly surprised. They did fantastic work there. And something that I really wanted to highlight, something that we've kind of spoken about a lot, is T1W and their 3-2-1 composition. And it's just consistently being shown over and over again that it's not their comp. When they can't play their DPS, they're substantially on the back foot. They're a phenomenal DPS comp. Or rather DPS team, but I feel like LGD's DPS is just a little bit better, and because of that, it's forcing them onto a composition that they're already not comfortable with, and the cycle just kind of continues there. They're really struggling to get that kickoff and to actually kind of get in the game, and that's really where they're struggling here. And the other thing is that LGD being able to continuously play comps that they are more comfortable with, they're doing so well, punishing all of the mistakes that T1W are making. Anybody that gets caught out of position, anybody that's arbitrarily in the back line, gonna get slept, antied, hacked, charged, you name it. They're gonna get caught out. They're gonna get dead. So that's where LGD are really, really stepping it up. What I also found with T1W is they struggle to win neutral fights, particularly on that 3-2-1 composition. They're relying so heavily on having those ultimates and using them to win fights, and that's kind of the drawback, because LGD can win the neutral fights. And again, that's where they've got a little bit of a leg up.
Yeah, I think a big matchup that we were watching with LGD versus T1W was basically who was going to be able to mirror out Kadalis, or if they were just going to approach it with Milan Ron. Assassin did a good job, but I think Micha was the question mark for T1W. How is he going to be able to play his signature pick of Doomfist against a team that can shut him down? Well, he's actually come out, and I think despite 3-2-1 maybe not being T1W.GZA's most comfortable selection, he's actually, I think, impressed me quite a bit on the Zarya. So Micha, he's done well with the Doomfist. We've seen him pull that out even against a soft counter, and even on the Zarya, looking quite solid as well.
We're going through the highlight pack again, where kind of the Sombra role for T1W was swapped around a bit. Milan Ron's picking that up. We've seen Hybe. We've seen other people play it for the team. But to me, I think what I'd like to see different is Silver 3's play style kind of match what the rest of the team are putting out. A lot of the time I felt Micha was leading the charge, kind of playing as the Reinhardt player. And when it's a Rein versus Orisa, Silver 3 needs to be the one who gets in the Orisa's face and denies that space, because Orisa's going to thrive at the distance. Silver 3 playing a little too passive into that comp.
Yeah, and I think that also relies on their rotations too, because we saw them actually not making the necessary rotations to actually pull those kinds of things off.
Well, we're going into kind of a technical game 5. It's a tie series. Our fourth map will be coming up for Dorado. We're going to throw it to a quick break, and we'll see you guys soon. Welcome back, everybody, to the final map of the set between T1W and LGD. We're heading into Dorado. It's a tie game. And a substitution we're happy about is Wan Lee coming back to pop off. This is the guy we saw was very awesome on Volskaya, but we were kind of wondering if Assassin was going to be coming in, and the answer is no.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, an approach being taken by T1W, and there's certainly a reason for it. I mean, Assassin coming in means that they want to go head-to-head with the Widow v Widow matchup, be able to try to shut down Kadalis, and that is something that we have seen from them on our first map of Busan, but not taking that approach and going with this lineup, keeping Micha in this roster with Milan Ron and keeping Hybe on as well, the exact same thing that we saw initially on King's Road. What that means to me is they're just trying to go for the 3-2-1. They're trying to play that through. They feel confident enough on that they can win this matchup. But again, you still have that issue. You're playing into the DPS composition that you're expecting to get out of LGD, and namely Kadalis on this Widowmaker.
Also big happy to see Hybe back on the Diva, who's kind of stuck on the Brig in the 3-2-1. So just a normal 3-3, and they're going to be playing a bit of a stall position in this room to kind of rotate the Zarya bubble with the Shield of Silver 3, who eats a lot of damage, and all LGD have to do is swap to DPS and rain the rockets in, which Wan Lee already close to Barrage.
So LGD back up, but they do have that pick, so now they can go forward with the 6v5 advantage. shortly here, and just pressuring out as Rookie and Kadalis are just spamming away alongside Wanli. How do you heal this with no Moira?
You don't. You just die. This is free ult charge at the moment. LGD, they made the right swap. It was just to break down the shield, and now T1W lost the only advantage they had, which was to have the 3-3 hold the choke. And now this card will, I think, most likely be able to push through the choke by the time T1W have their right setup coming.
Yeah, it's slow going with just Melon on the point, but they get it through, and Barrage at the ready here for LGD, just basically going again for that spam comp, wanting to disengage, keep the fight away from Melon as best they can, just basically focusing on that chip damage. T1W simply cannot out-heal it.
Yeah, Silver 3 just needs to run into Melon before his shield breaks from all the poke damage of 3 DPS shooting at him, because as soon as Silver 3's shield is dead, so will the rest of his team. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders to not only regen that, but take the fight and lead the fight for his team, where meanwhile, it's been taking so long for T1W to get a charge going that you're seeing slowly T1W lose mech. Hype's able to get back into it, and now Ultimate's coming up. There's a tire. It's going to be going into the building. It could be big. Around the corner. Oh, and Silver 3 able to turn that shield around. And now Transcendence going to try and lead T1W in, but without a Reinhardt, this is tough. There's not a lot of damage mitigation left.
They're still basically expending everything that they have available to them. Finally, now the barrage coming out. You can see Wanli, under so much pressure, still finds 2 kills, is still alive as well.
Yeah, nothing. As soon as Silver 3 is dead, nothing can stop Wanli. Nothing can stop the rest of LGD's damage coming in. And I'm kind of curious, like the Sombra, like that would have been their winning condition to work towards. And now I'm not really sure what their winning condition is besides a grab, and you got to hope that you get everyone in it.
So now into stage 2, T1W not making swaps. LGD now can continue going forward. They're actually pulling Rookie off of the Hog and going for the Sombra approach instead. And that's just even more pressure to deal with on the front line for T1W.
And not swapping to a Winston, not caring too much about the high ground, knowing this war is going to take place on the ground where Melon is, trying to get him off of the cart, self-destruct from Hybe. Clears the sky, surprisingly Wanli not getting caught from it. And now Rocket's raining in. He has a barrage. He's looking for the supports who are going in the courtroom. And easy Rockets on the illusion. That's already a Lucio gone. No speed engage or disengage, but a 4-man shatter from Silver 3 is a great start. But Wanli trying to hold on to his team with the barrage, but it's only a 1-to-1 trade. And as the dust clears and as things start to settle, T1W have at least forced LGD into a different position.
And LGD slowly cleaning things up, have the control, and they're EMPing actually as well, just to secure it. I guess they really want that momentum, but they now have, of course, Waya and Micha sitting there with ultimates. I mean, support coming online for T1W as the Sombra is coming up as well, so I think they really would have liked to have had that EMP at least to pull something out from T1W. Now T1W can kind of set the pace themselves. I mean, tempo is certainly going to be of their own accord.
Now the supercharger for LGD started a little early. T1W is still ready to engage. Silver 3 was hacked at the start. The supercharger already out of the picture is LGD now looking to use that Transcendence once the dive comes in. As the first Transcendence comes from Waya, but Snipe's still going through. You can't heal through the headshots of Kadalis, who finds one and almost finds the second. And a good start for LGD. So now once they clear off Hybe, they should be able to get point B.
This has been smooth sailing for LGD, and they're holding to this composition. T1W doing very much the same outside of Silver 3, swapping over to the Winston to put more pressure out as he can dive in. But now Waya is finally moving over to the Ana, being able to answer, I guess, a little bit better, but still that defensive ult is the factor here for well, that's gone too.
This was what we were worried about before the series. If we weren't going to see Assassin, who can stop Kadalis? He's getting picks here and there, which is enough. That first 6 versus 5 is enough momentum for LGD. Now it's the second and about to be the third pick. Guy's popping off, and he's in the perfect condition or position to keep T1W in their spawn.
Yeah, the issue here is that who can focus on Kadalis, because Rookie is turning your head. Wanli is just putting out so much damage with the rockets, landing so many directs, and you have to deal with all of these different threats from multiple different angles that Kadalis is so far down the checklist because he's way too far away.
Now T1W trying to get on this high ground, but now the grab is thrown up there. At least they were able to dive on top of it, deal with Kadalis, so that was a big danger they had to deal with. Ultimates exchange both sides, but on the attack, LGD have a ton to go with. They will finish the map with time.
And that is a new look, I think, right there. LGD has basically broken T1W.GZA at this stage, it seems like, where the 3-2-1 not working, the 3-3 not working. I mean, a very interesting composition to start with, especially with that aggressive hold as well. You could see how that swap really burned them early on, and they were forced to stick to it because they felt like they really needed to rely on that transcendence. And I think the issue needed to be pressed very early on, that the Ana needed to come out soon.
And Michia threw the grab on the high ground and had the Winston follow up with it, but maybe that grab needed to be used on the low ground where maybe the supports and maybe the rest were, because you should really be relying on Silver 3 as the Winston to go and take Kadalis, even just to force him on the low ground. Don't even have to get that pick, but just buying your supports some space to get out of spawn and heal comfortably without having to keep your eye on a Widowmaker eyeing you down. So that was kind of something we would have liked to see T1W have as their own Widowmaker, but then it's now up to Silver 3 or High B to go after Kadalis, because he's getting so much value.
Yeah, and I think another thing here too as well is that Melon can basically just sit on the cart and do whatever he wants. I mean, he's playing the Orisa here, yeah. And actually, I would be surprised if he had more than 50 inputs total over the course of the entire map on his WASD keys. I mean, on WASD and just those keys alone, if he has more than 50 inputs, I'm surprised, because he has been able to literally get on the cart, sit there ever since they cleared Red House. They were able to just sit him on the cart and never lose a fight after that. They easily just pushed that thing forward.
Oh,
okay.
Turns out Hybe can play Widow. That's working out too so far. It should be res there from Hoyo-chan. I'm not seeing it go through, trying to maybe avoid the Widowmaker shots, but there's the res coming in a little bit later at the last second, making sure it was clear. But now T1W doing a few more swaps now. You see Silver 3 on the Hammond. Kadalis, alrighty then.
Well, Kadalis is able to answer back with a fair pick of his own, but again, res, as those Mercies are on the table for both sides. As you can see, Kadalis again finding a new answer. This time the Mercy, probably an even better pick for them at this stage.
This is yucky. This is gonna get yucky if he just keeps just sniffing.
Will be 6 now? Before we were 40 and saying hello, fellow kids, and now we're 6.
Well, it's just an oof, a yucky. I'm out of words to describe how Kadalis can control this game on defense. And T1W, though, they're going to be relying on the Pharah duel, where a direct rocket almost takes out Hoyo-chan, and now one onto Milanron. But also those rockets maybe could hit that Widowmaker. Kadalis gets hacked and dealt with. That's what Milanron needed to do, and gets the second one, and needs to deny that res on top of that.
Oh, but well, at least Illusion gets a res onto Micha, so it seems like T1W should be able to push through the rest of this point and get this cart through this market stage. But we do see Micha needing to actually solidify that last kill. Finally gets it, and Rookie is down, so LGD along with it.
He's killed 4! He's killed everyone. Like, he's actually carrying the team. He kills Kadalis, kills the Mercy, and kills 2 more after that. Maybe you don't really need a Widow. You just need a good Pharah.
Well, it's worked out for them so far, though. LGD, they've got Infrasights available for the next second or 2, as that's going to be going down. Fortunately for them, they were able to get a pick from it. It's going to get res back up, so not going to mean all too much, but res cooldown goes down. That means that T1W might be able to, or might be forced rather, to play a little bit slower, try to play a little bit safer, as they know that cooldown is away from them, as LGD looking for that opportunity to go back in and play off of that.
Having to be so careful, as Milanron not only has to take care of his counterpart, but also the Widowmakers that have been picking each other off, as Milanron maybe doesn't need to hit those directs, but can also put his attention to Kadalis, who finds Michia, and now looking to put shots into Silver 3 and the rest of the supports, and has his eye on Illusion, gets the body shot, not the finish. But LGD have so much room to work with, and that forces already is zoning off the pharmacy from T1W all the way towards the right side.
The LGD, it looks like what they're trying to do right now is just try to hold this corner, keep them on the side of this courthouse here, but there it is, the engage, now backed by High B on the EMP.
Silver 3 got the nano. They did get EMP, or they used the EMP along with Hybe to go for some kills, but you don't really see too many of that. It was the barrage from Wanli who was able to halt this for the moment. And even despite all the ultimates T1W just used, and even a Valkyrie in a dead fight, LGD still in firm control of this defense.
So now holding out here on the high ground, still T1W needs to figure out an answer to get to Kadalis with, and Rookie as well as Wanli even still a problem that they have to answer. And Micha on this Doomfist has not been it just yet outside of that first attack where we saw them capture point A with. So now it's all about stealing away the high ground, getting into Kadalis's face, and starting to find these kills on the front line where Melon is quite exposed without that off tank.
Making some space, T1W look to set up the barrage. They get hit by an EMP from Rookie. There's Milanron with his barrage. There's Hoyo-chan taking the matters in his own hands. I think he got bowled away from the Resurrect too. But Kadalis finds two, and one onto Illusion, which is critical. Waya is going to have a hard time healing all those people by himself, and that's another dead fight.
So again, T1W hit a brick wall, and now probably going to be swapping compositions here. As we see, even still, I mean, it's actually the triple DPS that they're going for. This time, it's the Genji Tracer, and that should certainly benefit them, I think, if they need to be able to get to Kadalis, if that's their game plan, is that the strategy that they're going for, they certainly can pull that off a lot easier, utilizing the Ham and the Genji, the Tracer, as well as the even the Sombra getting all involved, that they want to bring all four of those members of their team to try to put pressure onto the Widowmaker.
Well, now Illusion did get hacked, so despite all those DPS, you need to keep your healers alive. As 2 DPS drop for T1W, LGD with Wanli now on the brig is going to make it hard for T1W to have these dives and for it to go safe, or for it to be safe. As that'll be almost a finish, Secret almost getting that finish, but LGD defense so perfect so far. I have no words.
T1W, in the meantime, they have the EMP, but they need fall.
Oh, come on!
I mean, hello? Hello? Was he listening to me?
I'll give that a B+ for the Swan dive. But now EMP. This is the time. Okay, we got an EMP, we got a nano. Michio got the nano, but he doesn't have a blade for it. But he's still going to try and maybe farm one up with that. But there's a lot of healing left from LGD because they're using a Valkyrie. Getting down to the last 40 seconds. Still not a lot of kills converted from that stack of ultimates. Now LGD can respond with their own. They've trapped T1W towards the left side from their perspective. And LGD, you can't touch them.
Now they only have one more shot. Luckily for them, the blade is coming up, sort of. They need a little bit more poke before they actually get that. It's going to take literal heroics from T1W.GZA right now, and probably Micha specifically, if not Milanron, to be able to capture this here. They have to be able to focus down these targets because it might even take 2 fights to get there.
Oh, the blade could be what they need in overtime. He needs to stay alive. Wanli needs to stay away from Micha. I thought he reflected that for a second, but now you have one of your main healers dead, and now Micha, it's all up to you, pal. Go after the Ana. You just ate that sleep breakfast. He gets Kadalis. He's putting the team on his back. Could get the Mercy too. Can't get the finish just in time. Hybe is there for the cleanup. T1W. It took till Ice Age until we got there, and point B is on the horizon.
Still one more fight to go, though. I mean, that wasn't enough just yet. They still do, though, have the EMP coming up. They have the nano boost as well that they can throw out onto someone. Just a question of who, maybe even Silver 3 to get that instant pile driver, send LGD up into the skies, and allow Micha to start getting some Swift Strike resets.
Supercharger, shield set for the defense, looking after Wyatt. He can't die here. And he got hacked too. Silver 3 sleeping. There's so much CC denying or not letting T1W play the game. But they're getting the kills. The dive is pushing LGD back. Even with the EMP, T1W, they don't need their cooldowns. They're putting so much damage into the front line of LGD as a Deadeye from Kadalis is ready. Oh, and Micha couldn't reflect it in time. There's Kadalis doing Kadalis things and being an absolute monster. Even finishes off Illusion. Silver 3 is there. Only 2 or 3 members remaining against the 3 of the defense. But Hoyo-chan is still alive. There's a lot more resources for LGD, but T1W are working in perfect unison.
And now we're seeing T1W. It looks like they're going to claim it here. And we actually see Micha coming back very close to the blade. Should they need it, they could rely on it, but I don't think they will. If they just need a couple of kills, they instead just push everybody off the point. But Micha, the blade is available. The EMP is available, as well as the sound barrier. I mean, they have everything they need to keep this momentum going. They could actually finish this map. Just maybe 2 more fights they need to win.
How? How is this happening? We're in a timeline of endgame. T1W is snapping their fingers, and they're ready to do this with an EMP, a blade, and a barrier. You just saw the Zarya bubble go out. You know the Brig's away from the rest of the team. Micha is ready to engage. Just tell him to go and send the dog in. There's Silver 3 initiating that dive. They got to be ready for Rookie's EMP, who's too low HP to start it. And there's the blade, and there's your boy Micha needing a chiropractor for his broken back for carrying this. So far, only 1 kill, but that's maybe all they need to keep this momentum you're speaking of. But can they survive this EMP from Rookie? At the moment, T1W are doing that. Illusion holds on to the barrier until the last second, until they need it the most, and LGD are losing too many members to keep this defense going.
So Micha doesn't get the value he was looking for initially, but T1W, they don't need to utilize too much. There's the minefield going down, denying that zone here. Oyo-chan can't even get in the fight.
They finished. Someone for Christmas wished for T1W to finish Dorado, and Santa Claus made it come true. I just can't believe that after the years we spent at Point B, that T1W, I don't know what happened, but they made it. They made it, Heurix.
Yeah, and because it's payload, they have another shot to make it here as well. So now it just becomes a question of, can they continue that going into this first section of the map? We saw them on defense. Obviously, they're attacking first as their time is quite a bit less, but on defense, I think they made an initial mistake with the composition that they played, and then how they played it certainly opened themselves up to be vulnerable to the approach that we got out of LGD. Now, if they look better on defense and the way that we saw their attack certainly later in that phase, we could see actually this be turned around on its head. T1W struggling to get point B might actually be able to somehow squeak this one out.
We're seeing the coordination really come together from T1W, because we saw some ultimates come out in dead fights where you're wondering what's going on in the communication department, who's shot calling, who's coming in with a plan. And in a stressful series like this is where comms start to break down, and you need to see this composure from either side. T1W with 1 minute, 2-minute deficit over the 3 minutes that LGD have. We'll see how far they can get.
So T1W starting things off here with none other than the Doomfist pick from Micha. Okay, well, Ana somehow winning out that duel. I think a little bit of help, if I'm not mistaken, from Kadalis initially. I think it was just the connection there. But now Hybe actually coming out onto the Genji. So swapping things up a little bit. They still have that EMP Nanoblade combination, but this time they have Micha to support on the Doomfist. Another threat to dive in with.
Yeah, Hybe hasn't been feeling this Widow. He just insta-swaps off of it both rounds. And this will be what they need to go and contest Kadalis, like you said, and getting some distance here. They want to close that distance between them and Melon. And you can see he's trying to survive with 53 HP. There's the finish from the Lucio himself. T1W in the last 10 seconds. They got the kills they need, and the card has been pushing through this whole time. So that's very much point A for them.
And I like this dive setup from them too, because I think they felt pretty strongly that LGD was going to go for this bunker. So by going for the dive, they actually read it perfectly. And not only that, but even more so by actually extending Micha onto the Doomfist. They have Hybe on the Genji, and they can be more aggressive. They can be more punishing on that shield. And Melon is by himself now, as Rookie has actually swapped off of the Hog and onto the Sombra. T1W with that first cap, they're pushing this forward in overtime.
I like this swap way more from T1W to go and contest that high ground. As soon as they get Melon down, there's no way for him. It'll be a long road for him to get back up there. Silver 3 gets that nano, but kind of Micha is so low HP. Silver 3 ate a lot of poke damage, so they weren't able to get a ton of value. They did at least get Melon down to the low ground, so maybe that was the value they were looking for. T1W now need to get, their focus should be Melon or the resources protecting him. Swanlee did go for that barrage. He gets slept. There is Hybe with his own blade, chasing after the Pharmacy. Gets one lead, goes after the main tank, holding him out of position. And this is a scrappy fight in overtime. T1W losing members left and right. They only have a Lucio and no one there to touch. That's the end of the road.
But still a solid effort from them. Now they have the ability to just try to their best to hold on point A. Again, like I said before, a slight error in the composition that they came out with in terms of just being vulnerable to an adjustment where they were trying to hold out on Red House initially with a Zen. Not the best approach, I think, defensively. If they make an adjustment either positionally or compositionally, I think that could actually work out very much in their favor. They can have a solid market defense and hold out in that open territory against a team that is, again, probably pretty likely to play the DPS. And they've even extended the cart past that point A checkpoint. They have actually gone, I believe, 45 some odd meters forward as well to make a solid defense. This is a good turnaround for T1W. They're very much in this match.
Yeah, just with the minute that they had to get that far is super impressive. But then you have three times that amount of time for LGD to get to that point. I did at least like the swaps that T1W were doing. Like I said already, the dive. But then we were sort of, for a team that's been together for several seasons, we're talking about since last year, they've been together. It's not coming together as you would think.
Yeah, not at this point, but LGD now on an attack of their own. Look how much time they have. 3 minutes in total to be able to push through.
Oh.
High B, that's an early pick for him. Certainly, I mean, it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Mercy comes back and gets the res, but Kadalis needs to find revenge here. 3 minutes is a lot of time, but T1W can shut this down.
Yeah, I wonder if High B sticks through this, though, because he usually goes for that initial pick and then goes back to maybe like Sombra or maybe another comfort pick, as maybe they were wishing Assassin was the one who was doing that, although High B's still capable. But he usually swaps after the first point, so maybe with that pick, he's getting some confidence back. But how they're going to be pushing through, or how LGD are going to push this choke is going to be difficult.
So LGD going for those rotations. They know that they have that hook combo with the halt. They already get one. Micha's down. 6v5 advantage here for LGD, pushing in, swarming Silver 3.
Orisa and Orisa on the cart. It's got to be a lot of space that T1W have to make, and they have to ward off this left side position from LGD. There's no pace really going through until, oh, the hook missed from Rookie, and it's a 2-for-1. Instead of canceling without any earlier, Illusion brings Milanron back. Everything is forgiven. And for the moment, LGD have halted the cart.
Maybe I blinked wrong, but Rookie, I feel like his hook went almost like right through Farah.
Through the wing.
I guess that's not enough to latch on, but T1W stabilized because of that, and now have the chance here to signal out to their supports. Wanley's now onto the Farah. You have to get safe. Find a position where you can line a side away. Kadalis was able to get High B here.
Oh, no!
Come on!
I'm so sorry. That is the most satisfying thing as Anada to do, is just to sleep things like that. Go again.
I can't hear anything with our producer laughing behind us as well, but
that's why it made me laugh more, so don't encourage me.
Well, LGD, they're continuing forward here. Looks like they're going to cap point A. Kadalis now looking for that target in the skies, trying to lock down Milanron here. 40 seconds left. That's all that's remaining of their original 3 minutes, and they still need that 45 meters to go.
Oh, the box of victory is around the corner. LGD started at a deficit in this series, tying, making this possible on King's Row to the final map against them. It's second versus third place, and sort of a game 5. Remember, they faced each other in the semifinals last season. Kadalis gets hit by Milanron. That's also a guy he's had to worry about. No Widows left in the picture, but Mercy's left to resurrect. Wan Lee is also popping off. It's the Forest standing out. He's gone third, a fourth. Make it more, LGD. This man needs a chiropractor too. The final barrage to say goodbye to T1W. The box of victory is there, and LGD have done it, turning the series around and taking it from T1W.
And what a way for that to conclude as well. Kadalis tossing up the ball, Wanli spiking it down. A beautiful finish for them, the DPS combo, the threats that we were talking about going into this matchup, getting the finish. And in the final moments, this was probably one of the closest matches you're ever going to see this season at least, but certainly I think this was one of the better ones, and it's a big reason why it was the match of the week. Definitely did not disappoint.
Our analyst Kenobi is just screaming in the background of how this happened. And sorry, Naori, coming back, we forgot. I'm sorry. We're lost for words. We've lost our brains. We've losing our minds after the series. T1W, they denied the history, or LGD denied the history. It was T1W that took that game 5 last season. Now LGD stand tall. Naori, what did you think of Dorado?
It was an adventure. We saw some really interesting compositions. The thing that I really enjoyed, now we saw a lot of swap ups from both of these teams in terms of substitutions, and I think that they really hit the sweet spot, LGD, with rookie Wanli and Kadalis. The three of them like playing together was like watching music. The Pharaoh rockets, the Roadhog hooks, the Kadalis's jump shots up into the sky to take out Pharaoh was just, it was insane to watch. It was beautiful, and I loved every minute of it. Wanli and Kadalis have really been showing up on their DPS heroes, but you cannot mention the DPS without mentioning Micha. He really was doing his damnedest to try and get that win for his team. He flexed onto a couple of different heroes there, and I must say, it feels like Dive might be T1W's new look. I feel like they made the most progress when they swapped onto like a Dive-esque composition, particularly when they had Micha on that Genji, because he does get quite a lot of value out of his blades. I'm kind of excited to see what these teams are going to do for us going forward, particularly when we get into playoffs and they are no longer able to run the 3-2-1 compositions and they're going to be forced to play DPS compositions. I think that that's where we're really going to see, it's really going to test their mettle, and that's where we're going to start to see where they shine.
And on top of that, I mean, LGD, T1W, this was a matchup we were looking forward to ever since we saw that schedule. And of course, LGD actually playing really well behind Kadalis. I think really when we came into this week, this was the match of the week again, as we mentioned, and it all was going to come down to the DPS. How are they going to match up? I think we did not get any disappointments at all. None of these players can really, bow their head and think they played poorly. I think across the board, we saw some great performances, and LGD just coming out slightly ahead in the end, and that was all that it took. I really think, again, a breakout performance for Kadalis, a second time, maybe I guess a third time, since technically he did play that one map in week 1.
Oh, LGD will stay anchored in second place with that win and maybe restore some faith we had in them, because Wanli, MVP right there, my invisible trophy, my medal, my chocolates, my golden star sticker to you for putting the team on your back. So many players popped off in their individual moments, but Naori, who was your MVP? I'll put you on the spot. I know.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with
that one.
I think I'm gonna go with Wanli as well. Not just because of how much he popped off, but his hero pool, projectile, hit scan, you name it, he plays it. I think that he really was a shining star in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think outside of that, you certainly have the ability. I think this is probably one of. I have to mute this. This is a lot of noise coming from our. I hope I wasn't the only one that heard that. I thought someone was like losing their stomach for a second there, but it was just our feed. But
gross.
All right, well, moving on. I think this was actually a really solid performance from Illusion from T1W. I think he was actually very good in the counters. Showed off a lot of the things that we saw from Amy earlier on in our second series of the day. And I think Illusion, from this past season and certainly from 2018, I think Illusion, outside of what is a really solid roster, Illusion has had a couple of question marks in terms of his ability to deal with these kind of counter strategies. He was phenomenal today. I think he didn't really miss a beat at all. So I think Illusion, while T1W didn't get the win, he's certainly a player that I think improved greatly in this meta specifically.
This was an amazing series. Congratulations to all the ones that took the W's today as we head into our,